how'd you guys get into music?
You want to start, Chris?
I mean, my parents, this is Chris from Hans Gruber. My parents were like kind of into music. I mean, they had a lot of favorites like Billy Joel, Ella John, Bryan Adams, Queen, AC/DC, stuff like that. So music was kind of always around the house. I have a little bit of an older brother who was a drummer. And eventually I actually was doing piano because of my love of Billy Joel and at the time, Richard Marx. And I'm not ashamed of that. But yeah, we always had a record player in the house and stuff like that. So it wasn't really encouraged to be musicians, but it just kind of happened.
For me, Rosie, my dad was a musician. He played trumpet like back in, I think, high school and college, and then also guitar. And he was just always playing guitar all around the house. And like his sort of lore was that, like he grew up Mennonite, so you're not really supposed to have instruments or like listen to rock music back in the day. Eventually, like his family left that strict of a church, but like so when he was in college, like his lore is that he discovered the Beatles and ELO and just started like, oh my God, and like started doing that instead of schoolwork, and so he just learned how to play guitar. So he was just always playing, so it's kind of always around me. But I guess also yeah, he always had a bunch of those records as well. My mom always had like, she loved Peter, Paul and Mary, and then she loved like classical stuff. So she like, we'll play games and I'll be like playing the radio, like, let's guess what song this is. She can't do anything for pop music, but the moment it's like Bach, she's like, this is the Ninth Concerto. And I'm like, how did you know that, Mom? That's crazy. So like they both liked music a lot. And then my grandmother was a pianist, and I had wanted to do piano lessons, just I don't know why. I guess maybe, well, we went to church growing up, and my dad liked to do music there and seeing it there, I guess. And my parents were like, no, too expensive. And then I convinced them by convincing my grandma that I really wanted to learn. And then she was like, you need to give her lessons. And I was like, yes, thanks, Grandma. And then sax was from just sixth grade band. Just, you just join band because you're joining band.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Music was around the house. I picked up trombone when I was in sixth grade. My had an older brother as well, so when he got into punk and ska, I got into punk and ska, and
I guess that's the thing for me too.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like those older siblings bringing the music home. But also there was I didn't have cable growing up, but the public television actually had these programs on late at night that played all these like super indie artists, or these artists that would actually break in the next few months. And so it's interesting to be like, I remember seeing one of Linkin Park's video before they actually made it on like the radio big, because this program just played all these things. So I get that's what got me into more of the kind of alternative and heavy music.
I had one of those too, by the way. Like
Yeah.
it was on public access and they played indie, punk, hardcore ska. It's like the first time I ever saw Guttermouth or MXPX and stuff like that. It was weird.
Yeah.
See, what's funny is I started it too, but like in a really weird way, which is really specific, and I'm sorry to everyone, but like my parents just had one of those like big dishes, like satellites, and he would just kind of crank it and like I think just steal TV whenever he felt like it. I don't know, but whatever. But one of the things that they would more like, he would usually do it for like games and stuff here and there, but normally it was on a thing called ZTV, which is kind of embarrassing because it's Christian music television. But they also had like a late night thing that was like the hard stuff, and I always liked that, and like that's where I saw MXPX, and then Five Iron.
The
So
hard
like,
stuff.
there's some good crossover, but it is kind of embarrassing and funny.
So the good hard stuff was Christian ska.
I mean, I don't know that it was good. It was at least interesting.
Five Iron is pretty
And it's
good.
great, yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Great.
stand by that one. Five Iron was good and still is good.
MXPX is good too, and they had that, I guess, crossover appeal. They were sort of in the
Yeah,
world,
I
and
love
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Word. I once played a show with a Christian death metal band.
yeah.
Some of the
They were not very creative on the lyrical aspect of it.
Well,
Because
yeah.
every song was like, Jesus.
Was it Zam?
And it's like, okay.
Like
I once
Take some language lessons.
I once went on tour with a Christian hardcore punk band as a roadie, and they didn't know that I was non-religious, just the one member that I was friends with, and they didn't talk to me for 5 days. It was great. It was great.
That's phenomenal. You weren't playing like Mephistopheles in the background to try to corrupt them with the devil.
What started is I have a Bad Religion logo tattoo, and they hated it. And I was like, it's a band, right? And they're like, yeah, but we don't like them because of the logo. And I was like, oh, there's so much more than that, and they're not all like atheistic or non-theistic. Like they mostly are social commentary and political. And they were like, nope. I was like, okay, cool.
Well, it has a line through the cross. I mean, how dare you?
Yeah, it's just the letter T, man.
Yeah, that's not a religious symbol. That's just a T. So
Just doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. Right, religion, 100% of a man, moral superiority, all that is unstable. Just doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter.
how did Hans Gruber first become a band? Hans Gruber, sorry.
You're fine. It was so I had went to college with our former guitar player, and his other project was beginning to come to an end, and he was looking to start something up, and I was around. I played bass at the time, and so I was interested in forming a project. So we had got together. He also had a friend that was wanted to be the singer, and so before we could do anything, we needed a drummer, and we were asking around, and eventually,
Well, it was another friend that
yeah,
went to college with.
actually
Oh,
in
yeah.
the band with him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In the other band, yeah.
yeah, Tyler, yeah.
I'd quit drumming. I'd moved to Austin, joined a band, and had such a bad experience. And I had moved for a career, and I was like, you know what? I'm done drumming. I'm never going to do this professionally. So I stopped drumming for 8 months, and which annoyed my wife because I was very anxious and had nothing to do. And our friend Tyler was like, "You need to drum again. You need to do something. I know some guys. The guys from Bearsuit, my band, are trying to do a side project." And to the former guitar player kind of reached out to me, and yeah, it happened quick.
Yeah, dude.
Like
Yeah.
I decided to drum again, and I think I joined 2 bands in 1 week.
Fucking drummers. How many bands are you in now?
Officially, if my wife is watching this, only 3. Unofficially 7.
Sweet Jesus.
In Springfield, Missouri, there's this cat that we call Metal Mike. Dude's in half the punk bands in Springfield, Missouri. Like we'd go to a show and he'd be in like 2 to 3 of the fucking bands that were playing at that show. Like on his birthday, it was literally a marathon of just his bands.
Yep.
Funny.
Oh, there was a point where it was me, April, and Jimmy and Tron, and the 4 of us, I think, were 13 or 14 bands.
All the punk drummer
Yeah.
in town.
Just cornered
Yeah.
the whole market. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely one of those things that there's a couple shows that if a bomb went off, you would have killed all the drummers in the punk scene. It would have been dead.
That's
It's
okay.
on.
There's solutions to that. Let's see. The stupid henchman didn't have a drummer for a while. They had a MP3 player that they called Tobias that had every beat loaded up on it, and they just plug it into something like an amp.
That's
Jeez.
wild.
Right before I joined my first band ever, they didn't have a drummer. They had a drum machine,
Oh wow.
and it was a ska band.
A ska band with a drum machine. That's fucking wonderful. Yeah. Was it From the Cradle to the Rave?
No, I've never heard that, but I love that.
Yeah, right. Same.
Oh, it was the dude from My Own Religion. Like when that band dissolved, he started From the Cradle to the Rave, which was odd mix of ska and technocore. I don't know. It was fucking wonderful.
Sounds fun.
It's like pre 100 gex.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend it. Right now he ditched all the ska and he's just doing like that hardcore ambient techno-y shit.
But
But
probably make more money.
maybe.
The Starbucks, the exchange rate's not very good.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about the first album, the self-titled Hans Gruber and the Diehards, May 2017.
We went in to record 5 songs and then wound up with 14.
Like you already had the songs written, and you're like, "Oh, let's just
Yeah.
record some more." They didn't.
Yeah, we just kept going. I think the sound guy engineer was kind of egging us on, probably just wanted more money.
Yeah. Yeah, he got paid for all that mixing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I mean, it was crazy to go through that many. In hindsight, we probably shouldn't have, but we did it. We got through all of it. To me, it's an interesting album because I never was happy with how it sonically sounded. That was kind of the first time when I realized that TJ, our former singer, sucked.
Had limitations.
He had limitations. And it's because you don't realize there are limitations until you get into a studio and you hear him all of a sudden, and you're like,
Yeah, you hear
"Oh,
so much better there.
wow, this is what you've been doing." And on top of that, at one point, I'm probably just gonna say all this shit. We
Stories. Oh, you're getting stories.
So the only reason we did the Ghostbusters song is TJ wanted to do it, the singer.
We did not.
And we did not, because like we have the other things, we're gonna keep recording. Why don't we just do all the original songs? And he's like, no. And he's like, I refuse to keep recording unless we do Ghostbusters. And so he held the whole production ransom because he wanted to do that cover.
And at the time, we had Jump in the Line. We've been playing that since our first show.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the cover we wanted to do, which I'm happy we did.
Yeah.
Because sonically, it would have been ruined. But
yeah, it sounds better.
Yeah, it was kind of like, man, we really have to do this? Yep.
So that's why.
Weird fact, too, about that studio. I don't want to shame them at all, but it's a very high-end studio owned by a famous band, and Lady Gaga was in there before us at one point, like a few months prior or the month prior. And somehow, we did not get that.
Yeah, we didn't get the Lady Gaga sound. We got whatever came out for the first one. Of course.
I must say, this was before when they did this album. It was before I was in the band, actually. But I'm featured on 2 tracks because We're All Gonna Die. They were like, "Oh, we need saxophone for this." I was like, "Okay, cool." So I learned it, and it was kind of fun for me because I wasn't there the whole time. I was just like, "Oh, I'm a studio musician. Okay, cool. Let me play We're All Gonna Die," and then
You Can't Change the World, right?
Was it You Can't Change the World?
Get that.
Yeah, maybe.
Da-da.
Okay, so I don't remember. I don't remember which songs I played. Anyway, that's all I have to
Yeah,
offer.
I think we didn't have the knowledge or experience.
Yeah.
Even though I've recorded before, a lot of times it was either I went to a college, I had audio engineering or friends. I can't speak for you guys, but like
Kurt just did everything
I think
by
we got-
himself,
yeah.
DIY.
in hindsight, we got rushed, and it sounds like we got rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, that's our opinion. You might have a different opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, other people might love it and have a place in their hearts for it.
Good songs. We still play quite a few of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The first album was good.
And still primarily, yeah, and the songwriting was primarily Kurt and Chris as well, which is vindicative of pretty much
The band.
the band. But
Actually, I don't know if Hans had any songs written on that one. I have to go look at it.
yeah, we gotta look.
Here.
We don't know what's on that album anymore.
We forgot a long time ago.
It's the whole you get to the point where you're like
Isn't Today Worth Waking Up For on there?
no, that's on
No,
that was
that's
on the second one.
Polka King?
No, Polka King is the
Second
second
one.
too.
This is awesome. I do not know what songs are on what album. I don't listen to our music. I fucking hate it.
I listen
Yeah,
to
none of
They're
them,
terrible.
none of these songs are songs.
There's
I think TJ contributed lyrics to
3. Lunartini?
yeah,
Sheer Tyranny of Will?
yeah, he contributed 3 lyrics to songs, but the rest of it was all just me and Chris, which has been most of the time anyway, so
Yeah. I think we did the math and it was like 92% or something.
yeah.
Word.
So there you go. That was the first album.
But yeah, like Chris said, still some really good songs on that album, and we play them different and faster now. And maybe you'll see them in the near future. Maybe you'll see some of them released again. Maybe not.
Maybe.
Hmm. Let's move on to the second album, because the second album might be my favorite release by you guys. It
Oh,
sonically,
wow.
it sounds way fucking better than the first one. Like the
Right.
presence is like right there, and the fucking track list is just great. I got a question. You said you've been playing Jumping the Line since you guys started.
Yeah.
Has there been any freak conga accidents?
I don't think we've had any conga
I don't
accidents so
think
far.
so.
Yeah.
I think the closest thing to an accident was that people in Berlin, Germany, this past spring have no idea what a conga line is or how to do it, or they were too cool for it, or maybe all of the
They were
above.
very stiff.
No one joined except for Courtney of Tsunami Bomb and Eva, who was the booking agent. No one else joined that conga.
It wasn't much of a line, then.
We did. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
It wasn't much of a line then, huh?
Yeah.
Just a little segment.
So yeah, the second album, that was the beginning of our relationship with Drew LeClaire, who has recorded album 3, has recorded any of our B-sides at this point, or singles and splits, and is currently working on a whole bunch of new stuff with us.
Yeah.
And that was also, I guess, the first album where I was a full-time member.
Yeah.
It was between the first album and then playing around town a bunch, and a whole joke about not playing ska and then playing ska is really why I started playing live with the band. And then at this point I was already touring with them, and yeah, and then also contributed, singing and stuff that, like, again, like Kurt was saying before with the first album, like, you don't always know how someone's gonna sound until you're recording, and there were certain songs where I was like, oh, I hear it, but they could never hear me in practice because we're just practicing at someone's like shitty apartment with like no PA basically, or a tiny PA. And then I was like, no, guys, I have a vision, okay? Like, for a couple different ones, but especially for no, which one?
Tommy Westfall.
Tommy Westfall.
Are you glancing down, looking at your track list for that?
Oh yeah.
You better believe it. Yeah, I
forgot
don't
what
remember
was
what's
on
on the
the
albums. It's like you don't listen to your own stuff.
I
Like,
mean, you listen to it a million times when you're waiting for the mixes.
and then like I have no idea what the set, like the list order is.
I couldn't tell you the order.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here's the thing: in like 20 years, you guys are gonna have to go replay these whole albums in their entirety. You're gonna need to know what's on them.
That's true.
Album 1 is the only one we've played front to back, right?
I think so.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
We did a release show for that. It's the only one we did front to back.
And you forgot what was on there afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Shit, there are songs on maybe not album 2, definitely on album 3 we've never played live.
Yeah. I think I'm looking at album
2, I
2.
think we've played everything live at least once, but
Tommy Westfall
was only once.
only once or twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys gave me the unfortunate news that off of With a Vengeance, you've never played Brazil live.
I know. This one gets requested. It's one we probably need to
That one,
work on.
Praise the Algorithms got requested.
Yeah.
We've gotten I know
Grill Society.
Grill Society.
That one almost happened.
We started working on it. Yeah.
It was a weird thing. This the world kind of shut down for a while. And well, we can talk about it when we get to album 3.
Yeah.
If you have questions about album
Do you have
2.
any specific questions about album 2?
No, I just want to hear you guys talk about each album.
Okay.
It was recorded in a house.
Yeah, it was in Drew's house. I mean, there's lots of it I'm really proud of, like
A lot of the songwriting, yeah, I really loved on this.
Hero's
There's
still
some
one
real
of my
cool.
favorite ones.
Yeah.
I love All I Want To. We don't play it very well. Those we've kind of learned it and like almost played it.
Hmm.
I like screaming at the beginning of it like a child. I think it's funny. I mean, I think this one for sure was like the first album where some of the Latin influence started to come out.
Yeah.
With Burrow and then Black Eyed Children, I think are I mean, and probably also
Technically, All I Want had some in it.
All I Want did, you're right. And then also, I guess Jump in the Line as well, even though we've been playing that forever. But that one was in particular really fun, to just have a bunch of horns and try to figure out how to make that, because it never sounds like that live, even to this day, because we don't have that many horns, and that one sounds good, like production wise and with the horns.
I was saying, that song, I've been in, I don't even know, probably 20, 25 bands ever since I was 15, and I'm in my 40s. I've done so many covers in bands, and our cover of Jumping the Line is one of those rare situations where it feels like our own song.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever want to stop playing it. I still get excited playing it 10 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I didn't jump in the line though, because I'm old.
Fair.
No. Truthfully, my wife wasn't there, and there was too many women about, and I wasn't gonna go jump in the line with a bunch of women without my wife.
That's fair. That's
Okay.
fair.
She was in the car. If she would have walked into the concert and saw me in the line. No, see, my wife and son went to that show, but my son's autistic and he just sat in the car all the time. The whole time he couldn't bring himself to come in, so she just sat out there with him.
Yeah,
she missed. They could hear the show, and they
if you had told us, we could have had them pop into the car with the horns.
Right?
I would not have done that. It probably would have been
that would have been probably very
Maybe a little
stressful.
too much.
That probably would have been stressful for the kid.
We should jump into somebody's car.
We should, yeah.
That's a good idea.
I say, kid, he's 21. He's just.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I've gotten him. Let's see, I got him to go into one Doom Scroll show so far.
Nice.
But he in some environments he just can't handle.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but 2, that was a great album. 2 was a great album. Now let's move on.
I was gonna say, like, one thing that I guess I was thinking as you were saying it was a great album, like, is that like Burrow, for me, Burrow and the Eternal Beach Bar are 2 of my favorites still to this day. And then of course, like Chris said, like Jump in the Line. And so yeah, it's kind of fun to look back at.
Tommy Westfall is one of my proudest songwriting moments. Like, I wrote that fully. Lyrics, guitar, drums, everything, bass, vocals. Are there horns in that? We didn't put horns in it, right?
No.
I don't think so.
But that song took me like 6 months to write. Usually that's not the case. It actually was meant for my other band originally. Not the lyrics, but I originally wrote the music for a different band I have that's very like propaganda sounding. So, fun fact, if you take part of the riff and add a couple notes, it kind of sounds like a propaganda song.
Word. And there was a music video for one of them songs, Burrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
fun.
That was another proud moment too. I was the location scout, shall I say, but no, we filmed it
kicked out
near where the first one, yeah. Second one, near where I grew up, like the cowboy scenes are kind of on the reservation near where I grew up. So I was like, I have a spot, guys, don't worry. And it was fun.
Word. So what was the next release? Was that Split with Started?
That's right.
That's the last release with the former members.
Yeah.
Word.
So that one was recorded. Did we start in Drew's house?
We started in Drew's house.
And then we finished up in the 2 former members' like apartment. It was kind of like
your apartment.
Oh, and mine. Yeah, that's right. And ours.
The other spot. It was like three or four locations.
Not the other spot. That was the 3rd album, but I don't think the Split, right?
So yeah, there's a bunch of different places.
It was
the Split. Split, as you can tell, has 2 songs that appeared on With a Vengeance.
That was always the intent. The intent was for. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. The intent was always that. And actually the original version of the song Medical Advice that appears on this was actually No Outside Tanks. Originally. That was always the lyrics. That's what it was.
Story.
And yeah.
So I wrote that song. I wrote the bass line with one of my best friends growing up because we were in a ska band back in the 90s. Reached out to her and said, hey, do you mind if I kind of change this up a little, whatever? And there had been a tour. I'll skip to the end of it. The whole song's about the nitrous tanks in the California punk scene. It's a
which was very new to us. We were like, what?
And so like me and Kurt were joking about who's gonna write a song about this. And I guess Kurt wrote one.
Oh yeah, Kurt wrote one.
I beat you, I think, by finishing mine first.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where
that'd be a fun B-side. Kurt's No Outside Tanks.
Anyway, we told the story so often to people that our former singer started to hate it. He didn't like the story at all, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he got tired
of it. So
he was just like,
he decided he wanted to pretty much ad-lib the vocals on it. And we're like, as long as we could do the original version for the album, it's a 7-inch split, do whatever you want. And that's kind of where
Medical Advice came from. You're just riffing.
Yeah.
Word. Have you ever seen the movie I Heart Huckabee?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hearing the story so much about the Shania Twain and the tuna fish, it was the same concept.
It's been a long time since I've watched the movie. I didn't even watch that.
Yeah, and Scagnetti, just stuck on that. So when I grew up first in Connecticut, and I was in a ska band, I got to play with a bunch of bands in the 90s. Sergeant Scagnetti was one of those bands, as well as me and my friend group, like our favorite band. Well, one day I get a random message from Steve, the singer. Hey, really digging what you guys are doing out there in Texas. If you ever come to Connecticut, we should hook up. And I went, hey, Steve, I'm from Stratford. You're from Seymour. I've seen your band 30 times. We grew up near each other. I was in Obie-Scott-Kenobi. And he goes, what the fuck are you doing in Texas? And like, well, people move. And it kind of started because we weren't friends when I was younger. Like, he didn't know me. I didn't know him. We just knew the bands. And so it started this friendship that like is one of my favorites for all of us.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that 7-inch is really special for me to have my band next to a band that I literally idolized growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was sweet because like we made lots of jokes about it when we released it, but like Steve was he always teased us like, I mean, and he's not that much older, but he's a little older,
Yeah.
and then a bit older than me and Kurt, I guess. But they always just kept joking that like, oh yeah, we got Hans Gruber, the hot new mom, like or whatever, like to have a baby with, like he was just teasing like that, like we were so active at that time that they were like, I mean, it was sweet. I think they were grateful to get their name with like a band that was active and doing stuff with the younger.
And this relationship,
people.
that 7-inch, led to Scagnetti putting their album out on SBI.
On SBI, yeah,
on International.
Yeah.
Hi, cool Chris.
Oh yeah, that's right. Good segue into the next album. Yes, that was our last self-released album.
This next one was With a Vengeance, the third release, as I'm sure you were about to get to.
The fourth, but the third
No,
was
you're doing the best segue I could even hope for.
Where do we start with that one?
So this one, when we started recording, the 2 former members were still in the band, and by the end of the recording, they were fired. We still did
You're pretty much done, but we redid vocals because it was just
so
too much.
Yeah,
again,
the thing is,
the songs that Kurt and Chris
everything
wrote.
on this album was written by me or Chris, except where noted. Hans did add and did contribute some music to some songs, and so like we aren't, acting like he didn't help out. So that was the big changeover, and it was a really big, like, kind of different and just wild thing to have to do. I mean, Once you fire someone, it's like firing someone from any business. It's you realize, oh, you know, I can't believe that I took this long to do it, but also there's that gap in that person being there. And moving on was great for us. So that was, I mean, the big thing. I did a lot of things I'm very proud of in this album. I definitely doubled down on a lot of the Latin influence and stuff. We we got weird. Uh, we wrote some fucking gospel. We wrote some like, just straight up hardcore. We had, I mean, Monster of Walgreen Lake and Vril Society. They're whatever genre they are.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Brill is X-Files core.
Yeah.
Monster of Walgren Lake is, oh, former guitar player, you like blues and stuff? Let me do this.
Mhm.
And I wrote it.
Yeah.
That sounded petty. I'm okay with it.
We're petty. Oh, yeah, we have
Messy core.
a brass band song. I forgot about Dandruff.
Oh, I love Dandruff.
That's one we've never played live.
We never played.
Let's see here. We
So-
haven't.
This album, in 2020, in January, we started a tour to get out to Seattle to do the ska parade / ska in the 90s ska tour with 4 other bands. Did the tour plus another week home.
Which
And
was
then-
kind of our first time, like, really doing much with ska bands. It was
Yeah,
fun.
and we got the tour for 32 days in 2020, which most bands can't say. And so that was awesome, not knowing that the world was going to shut down. But when we got home from tour, we had a plan, and we literally did daily rehearsals for like 2 weeks. We were tour tight, worked on these songs, and so the recording process for this, I think for me, was like one of my favorites at the time, because we just were so in tune to each other and to our instruments. And then the world stopped, and that was during the process of recording it. So we had
Yeah.
to stop. And so then the album just took a lot longer to finish, because like the
Right.
core of it was done. We had done drums, guitar, bass, but then we still had to layer everything and get all the weird shit that we like adding in. And then firing people obviously makes it even more difficult.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different emotions tied to this album for each one of us. I don't want to speak for y'all, but
Yeah. It also allowed us to do real cool things like really push forward Rosie's vocals a bit more, and it added a bigger dynamic. I mean, that's what happens anytime you have a masculine and feminine voice in music. It allows you to have a broader range
Yeah.
just sonically, and that was exciting to be able to do finally.
And like to point to, I guess, what Chris said, like within that is kind of how the split happened too, because he was saying we had all the drums done and all the bass of everything. And so that's kind of like, as we were trying to continue this album, we were like, well, let's get these 2 done because this release is happening, and then we'll figure out the album. And then we slowly did that. And yeah, I think this was probably the first one that
by
all of us, but particularly me and Kurt, like sat with Drew or the producer a lot. Like, what if we had this and what if we had that? I mean, we did that a little bit with the second one, I guess. But yeah.
I just want to say something because I'm very proud of this. We skipped the release.
I know.
Yeah.
I was looking at it too. We did skip a release. We had a 20
There was
release.
a game in there.
Hans Gruber and the Diehards.
The game.
The game, some chip tune.
Yeah.
That was I put that together because we had made some joke on the road on the Ska Parade tour about doing video game soundtrack, and then when the world shut down, I had a lot of free time and I made a whole chiptune version of a bunch of songs.
Well, and I think what also happened, there was like 2 other things that happened in my memory. Was that one, I think it's Curly from Flying Raccoon Suit, who we didn't really know that well at the time. We had kind of heard their name. He put out one of our songs on like as a MIDI or chiptune, and then that lit the fire under our ass. Like, oh my god, we were gonna do. He beat us to. We had to do it now. And then so that happened. And then Chris, I think, was the one that found the friend that was. We had a friend at the time that was being lathe cut. And he was the one that pushed really for like, oh well, we should like make it a release and like sell this just limited copy, and we fucking sold out.
Yeah, there's only 50. And yeah, we sold every one of
Yeah.
them. We made money during lockdown.
We did it. We did the money thing.
Capitalism.
Congratulations, guys. You participated in the system.
Let's drive everywhere and destroy the environment. Let's drive everywhere and kill all the motherfucking bees. We'll cut down the forests and dam all the rivers. We'll murder the dolphins because they're assholes anyway.
Well, anyways, yeah. So then with a vengeance.
I feel like with a bit like I feel like there's so much more to say about it, but maybe it's so overwhelming, and that's why I can't
I'm
focus on it.
I do have a side
So
note.
I wrote No No Bronto, and I still love that song from a
Yeah.
writing perspective. Like, and Kurt wrote Good Old Fashioned Witch Hunt. My fucking God. Like, I think we both kind of stretched our abilities, not to sound like, but like we tried more things when writing this. Even in Vril, like I wrote Vril, and like that sounds like something I would have given to my other bands
Yeah.
if it had been faster. But we realized that we can get more weird. And so assume any next release is gonna be weirder. But
I hope.
Oh, that's
I mean-
awesome. Now I'm excited.
I mean, I guess to speak, to Witch Hunt, like I had to normally I don't have to practice that much before we go into a studio. I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like I'm a procrastinator, so I'll figure it out. But like Witch Hunt, I had to practice that like every day for at least 2 weeks in order to play it because it was a stretch for me. It was a difficult song and it was fast.
is that the one I played too fast?
Probably, who knows?
Probably. I mean, at this point,
Real was
at
also
this point,
difficult.
no, like that's what's so funny.
Oh my God.
Oh, I got a giant cat. Sorry, she's chubby.
Oh, we got a chubby one too. Where's her snacks? She'll come running for her snacks.
Oh, I got a side note. I think
Yes.
it's Andrew Heaton that does the chip tunes, not
Is
Curly.
it Andrew?
No, it was Curly.
I'm pretty sure
Oh,
it's Curly.
Curly.
No, Curly did the one we're talking about.
Okay, maybe.
Because Andrew does the majority of them.
Oh,
Maybe it was Andrew.
Pretty sure that one.
we're
was
good
Curly.
friends with them. We're gonna ask now.
We'll ask.
Right, so I've been giving them shit lately because I stumbled across their first release, not the Make a Friends, but the one before that, Paper Airplanes, right?
Uh-huh.
And I love that album, and I spun it quite a bit, though it sounds completely different than their other albums. So when I went to go do the interview, they're like, Andrew wasn't even there; it was just Jessica and Curly, and they're like, "What are you talking about? We don't have a album before Make a
That's like if I bring up our 5-song demo.
We did have a demo
Oh,
beforehand.
we did.
You guys got a demo? Tell me about this
We'll never see you
demo."
live tonight.
People bought it. We gave them away. And
Yeah.
then I ordered an extra
Yeah, that's
100
a
by
lot.
accident.
Oh, yeah. That was. So speaking of things that
I'm trying to get my cat to join.
it the production of it wasn't bad. The performance by the singer was terrible. I not to keep railing on him, but
Fuck 'em.
This video's not going to get you hate, is it?
nah.
Not more than we've already got. We're good.
Yeah.
We like being honest.
I am
Yeah.
speaking the truth, like that's how I feel, and
Yeah, I have a problem with that too. I'm on the spectrum, so I can't not tell the truth all the time.
Yeah.
It's become an issue in life at some points, but for the most part, it works out.
yeah, being honesty is a good policy.
But yeah, so the other day, I've been bugging Andrew about that first album so much that the other day I made him a deal. I told him if he could find me a signed copy of that first album, I would not only will stop bringing it up, I will help deny its existence with them. So here in about a month, I won't even know what I'm talking about right now.
It will not exist very soon.
I will say something I've never gotten to say in an interview,
Yeah.
but when we recorded the demo, we recorded a song that's on album 2, Eternal Beach Ball.
Yep.
So there's a version of Eternal Beach Ball that we actually had a fight about it, if I remember correctly, but we didn't put it out because Kurt wrote the song, so he has final say on that part.
It was so bad that I was embarrassed to have it out. Like the rest of them, I wasn't feeling great about, but TJ was so. Oh.
So where do I find this?
Figured it.
Now I have to hunt this down.
Yeah, that one, I don't know if that one ever saw the light of day. That particular
No,
song.
that song never did.
Yeah, that's
The
fine.
EP itself, it's fine. It's an EP with, everything's a lot slower than how we play it now, and yeah. Jeez.
Every band has to have it.
Yeah, we all have it.
That's true.
Yeah. See here.
There is there's a couple like earlier versions that aren't Hans Gruber, but that of some of Kurt's songs that he just released, self-released. Those are track downable. Which ones? Real Life Walter White, I think.
Yeah. See, I love Real Life Walter White.
I know. I almost talked about
That's
that.
another one, man.
It's an underloved one.
That was one that no, I won't go to that one. But I like that song.
We'll do cat.
My phone
We'll do
just
cat.
complain. I wasn't trying to just complain the whole
Yeah.
time.
There we go.
Funny how that's how recordings went up. Yeah, she's so annoying.
Okay. You'll be okay.
She don't
All
look
right.
happy about being on the thing.
Yeah, she's just a grumpy old lady.
So what's
Okay.
what's next?
Ooh,
Oh, so you got a new split
we do.
with
You do?
Sensations. Tokyo
Tokyo
two-step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one came together because we were working on new material and I wanted to do a split with a band from a different country. And Rosie and I had saw the Sensations at Fest
2018?
2018, I think. And they were absolutely wild. And it ends up that the lead singer also has a record label. So I just out of the blue emailed his record label and was like, hey, do any of your bands want to do a split with us? We're, saw you 2018. And then he emailed back. He's like, yeah, I have some songs that, Sensations are working on. I'll do the split with you. And so it just a happy little accident.
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah.
while we're in the process of talking about this and we're recording our thing and they're recording their thing, I believe they're just like, oh yeah, we're putting a cover on there.
Yeah, they sent us a version. They're like, oh, here's our cover of the Muffs. We're working on an original. And we were like, shit, they're doing a cover?
Yeah, we didn't want to be one-upped, so we had just we had Trepanation done, and we had just done a wedding for our roadie where we played at it, and they requested us to cover a bunch of songs, and one of the songs requested us to cover was my mind's dying right now.
I Put a Spell on
You. And like we enjoyed playing that cover specifically so much that we were like, yeah, let's record it. Let's go for it.
Because it's unexpected, even for us. Like, we didn't punk it, we didn't sky. And we originally were gonna do it very straight to the original recording. And I think I started going, oh, but the drums on this, fuck me, like, it's boring. And then I think our guitar player put his distortion on for a second. I went, wait, fucking palm mute it. And then it grew and grew and grew.
Yeah.
And then Rosie with the fucking sax solos, my God.
Well, and I also like we recorded it with my sax, which is a tenor, and then I was like, well, I think Barry would sound really good because it really is just a bass line, it's the same as the bass. And then we were gonna get Bex, who's in Joystick, to play to Empower Up, and Mutiny. Bex is the best. To play Barry, but then her Barry was in New Orleans and she was in, New Jersey where she lives, and she was like, well, let me try bass clarinet. And she did, and that did sound really good, but as she was working on that, I was like, well, we might try something else. And then so the producer was like, well, let's try this, because he had already done this with Chris in the cymbal. Was it the cymbals?
Well, it was part of it, yeah.
Okay. So he made Chris basically like play the song way faster, and he recorded it to a tape machine, and then he slowed it down so that it has like kind of like a weird, that kind of like ethereal sound in the drums, and then especially like
Also,
okay,
because he likes to remind me of this. I play better in the pocket faster. Yeah. The original tempo, I was like just not nailing it, to be honest. And then the second we upped the tempo, it was like one take.
I forgot about that part. That's funny.
Yeah,
for me,
you got to play in 120. You can't play in 110. It'll fuck you all up.
Right, exactly. For me, I don't remember how much slower or how much faster I had to play, but
you had to do double speed.
Like exactly double.
Yeah.
So I had to do it double speed in order to get what you hear that sounds like the Barry is just the tenor, but it's slowed down.
Slowed down to bring it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was hard, but it was really fun.
Yeah, so if you listen to it, if you kind of an uncanny valley with the sax, it's that Barry sax. Yeah. It's literally the tenor, but just slowed down.
That's the first
but on a tape machine, because we like
that's
non-digital.
Yeah, that's some Frank Zappa shit right there.
Good. Yeah, yes. We have been called Zappacore before.
Yeah.
That's the first song I played a little guitar on.
Yeah, you played
you played guitar on that.
I mean, Mike, our guitar player, when we toured, he played the majority of it. I had in those octaves at the end.
So my question is before you fully covered this song, did you listen to every other 50 cover versions that are out there? You got.
I heard not one.
Just
Screamin' Jay's my favorite.
Screamin' Jay's, yeah.
Screamin' Jay's my favorite. The moment, like even when our friend was like, "Oh, for the wedding," because it was a Friday the 13th wedding, it was creepy songs, whatever, spooky stuff. When she put it on there, she's like, maybe the one from, I think it was like a musical. What is it?
It was Hocus Pocus with Bette Midler.
Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, that's the one. And
then I think I listened to like 2 seconds. I was like, nah, we'll probably do Screamin' Jay's version because I just love Screamin' Jay. He's weird, like I feel like he's weird like us.
I mean, Marilyn Manson covered it on the Smells Like Children EP.
Kurt and I eventually heard the Creedence Clearwater Revival version because our producer was like, well, this is what you're going for, right? And we were like, no, not at all. What are you talking about? That's not at all the vibe. Like it was like, oh, not a huge fight, but I think he bridged that sound with our influence of Screamin' Jay well. So it turned out okay, but we were just like, yeah, that's not what we were talking about, you know. I think those are the only versions I really heard.
Yeah.
I should probably listen to Nina Simone's because she's important. But
I wanna see a blade shoved in your face. See stripes flowing all over the place. All we want is eyeball go right now. I wanna see what's under the patch. I wanna know what one looks like detached. All we want is eyeball go right now. Please, I'll take anything. Make me keep in my mouth today.
You in the works right now?
Quite a few things.
Always.
They're all, I mean, I guess it's half mum's the word, but we're pretty frank that we were recording. We are working on the next album for sure. And that's a good chunk of it's recorded. We just have to find money to finish doing it.
But we have a couple things for more splits like we've done.
We'll be announcing stuff hopefully in the next probably a few months. If not.
There could be an announcement in the next 2 or 3 months. Yeah, maybe 2.
Word.
We got some other tours coming up in spring.
Spring, yeah.
That will get announced. We can't announce those yet. It's exciting.
But Midwest, West Coast.
Last year and a half is
been a wild ride.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year.
We got close to 3 or 3.5 months of touring this year.
80 shows.
It was 80 shows, so I guess it'd be close to, I think close to 3. Yeah.
That's pretty badass. That's pretty badass. If you guys come through, I'm gonna try to catch you every time.
Oh, thank
Oh
you.
yeah, thank you.
Because that was a great show. That was a great show.
We didn't know it was outside.
Yeah, it was kind of
And
cold.
look, I'm from the
It's
East
still fun.
Coast. I get the cold. And then when you're drumming, your hands, no.
Yeah.
yeah. Like, I don't
You
understand
don't
how.
wear clothes.
Like, I mean, I spend all day outside anyway, so I was the only one out there without a jacket on, other than you, right?
Well, you do what you can.
But it was a great show. I even met Adam Gardner, the drummer, the old drummer to DFL at the show.
Yep, me too. We pretty much became besties at that show. What a fucking awesome human being.
Nice.
Yeah. Right. What's crazy is okay, so my birthday is in August, right? And I was actually scored an interview with DFL on my birthday,
Oh,
and
nice.
they sang me happy birthday, right? So
Oh, cool.
I was about to brag about that to the dude with the DFL jacket, and I was like, "Hey, you a DFL fan?" And he's like, "Yeah, I used to be the drummer." And it's like, "Well, there goes my story."
Yeah.
Way,
kid you
way
not.
cooler.
That's what happened to me. He came up behind the drum kit right before we were playing. It took a couple extra minutes before we got going. So we're just talking drums and shit. And I go, by the way, love the hoodie, man. DFL, fuck yeah. And he goes, oh yeah, I was the drummer. That narcoleptic youth. And I was like, oh, yeah, so you were in 2 bands I really fucking like. And after the show, I think we talked for an hour and a half.
Yeah, that dude was awesome.